Have you ever noticed that the most dangerous battles are not fought in the outside world, but in the quiet space of your own mind? One negative thought, if ignored, can grow again and again until peace feels out of reach. The Buddha once said, "Your worst enemy cannot harm you as much as your own unguarded mind." If this is true, how can we free ourselves from the prison of our thoughts? In this video, you will learn 6 powerful Buddhist teachings to end negative thinking and awaken inner peace. And stay until the end, because there is a bonus teaching that very few people ever hear, where every video opens a path to calm, clarity, and timeless Buddhist wisdom you won't find anywhere else. 1. See shadows for what they are. What if the monsters you are fighting are only shadows, becoming bigger because fear gives them light? Take a moment and sit with this question. Feel its weight. So much of what we call suffering is nothing more than our mind playing tricks. The Buddha reminded us, fear creates ghosts that were never there. When fear takes hold, it magnifies, it distorts, it blinds us from seeing the truth. A rope in the darkness becomes a snake. A passing thought becomes a life sentence. And yet when the light of awareness enters, everything shifts. The snake disappears. The shadows dissolve. Only truth remains. The mind is like a cave. In its darkness, shapes twist into frightening figures. But when light enters, the same shapes reveal themselves as harmless stones, ropes, or simple silence. Negative thoughts are not truths. They are shadows waiting for you to shine awareness upon them. The more you run, the larger they grow. The more you chase, the faster they consume. But the moment you stop, breathe, and look deeply, you see them for what they truly are. Empty. In Buddhist wisdom, thoughts are not your enemy. They are your teachers. Every fear shows you where you cling. Every doubt reveals where you do not trust. Every shadow is a mirror calling you to wake up. And so, the path is not about destroying negative thoughts. It is about understanding them, watching them, and letting them pass like clouds drifting across the wide blue sky. Can you see it? Your mind as the endless sky, vast and untouchable, while thoughts move gently through, powerless to disturb the space itself. Say softly to yourself, I see thoughts as passing shadows, not truths. My mind is not my enemy, it is my teacher. The light within me dissolves all illusions. These words are not just affirmations, they are reminders of your nature. You are the light, not the shadow. You are the sky, not the cloud. You are the awareness, not the fleeting thought. Take a breath. Imagine yourself standing in an open field where every thought drifts like a cloud across the expanse of blue. Some are dark, some are light. Some linger longer than others, but none can stay. You do not need to fight them, you only need to observe. And the more you observe, the more you realize. No cloud ever harms the sky. No thought can stain your being. Now, reflect within. What shadows have I mistaken for truth? How often do I feed fear by believing in illusions? And what would remain if I stopped chasing shadows altogether? These questions are not meant to be answered quickly. Let them echo in the cave of your heart. Because the truth is simple. When you stop believing in shadows, they vanish. And here lies your first step to killing negative thoughts. Don't fight them, see through them. Awareness is the sword that cuts the rope of illusion. When light enters, the shadows bow and disappear. 2. The root of restless thinking. Why does negativity return no matter how many times you silence it? You push it away, distract yourself, or drown it out with noise, yet it comes back stronger, as though waiting for you in the stillness. The Buddha taught, hunger of the mind is never filled by feeding it. A restless mind cannot be calmed by giving it more. More pleasure, more control, more escape. Just as a fire grows fiercer when you throw fuel into it, the mind grows more restless when fed with craving, resistance, and ignorance. Imagine a fire before you. Each log you throw in represents a desire you chase, an aversion you run from, or a story you cling to. For a moment, the flames leap higher, brighter, and hotter. But the fire is never satisfied. It demands more and more until it consumes everything. This is the nature of restless thinking. You do not conquer it by feeding it. You conquer it by refusing to give it fuel. Negativity survives because you give it energy. You argue with it, fear it, or try to push it away. In that struggle, you unknowingly feed the very thing you wish to escape. The path of wisdom is to stop feeding it, to look at the fire, see its hunger, and choose not to add another log. Then, slowly, the flames begin to soften, becoming a quiet glow instead of a raging storm. Say within yourself, I choose not to feed my suffering. Awareness reveals the roots of my unrest. My peace is deeper than my desires. Feel the power of these words. They are a reminder that you are not at the mercy of restless thinking. You can see the roots, and by refusing to water them, you weaken their hold on you. Close your eyes for a moment. Picture a flame flickering in the darkness. Watch how it dances wildly when wind and fuel touch it. Now in your mind, see yourself letting go, releasing a craving, dropping a resistance, stepping back from a story. With each release, the flame steadies. From wild, chaotic fire, it becomes a calm, steady light. Notice how peace is not the absence of fire. It is the fire no longer consuming you. Now, reflect deeply. What cravings and resistances fuel my inner fire? Do I mistake my desires for my true self? What happens when I simply stop feeding the fire? These are not casual questions. They are invitations to uncover the source of your restlessness. This is the second step to killing negative thoughts, not by silencing them, but by starving them. A mind that no longer feeds on craving and resistance grows quiet, steady, and luminous. And in that silence, you discover a truth. Peace does not come from controlling your thoughts. Peace comes from no longer fueling the fire that keeps them alive. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, I am beyond negativity. 3. Right view. Thoughts are not you. If thoughts appear and vanish, why do we treat them as permanent truths? A worry comes, a memory rises, a fear whispers, and suddenly we wear them like heavy chains. We say, this is who I am. But the Buddha reminded us, that which rises will also fall. A thought is not eternal. It comes, it lingers for a moment, and it fades. What imprisons us is not the thought itself, but our clinging to it. Picture walking along a quiet shore. Each step leaves an imprint in the sand, but soon the tide rolls in and washes it away. Thoughts are no different. They are footsteps of the mind, unable to last. Yet when you mistake those footsteps for stone, you carry their weight forever. The truth is simple. You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness that notices them. So many suffer because they confuse the storm with the sky. A passing anger, a moment of fear, a memory of shame. These are storms, not the sky itself. The sky remains untouched even when thunder rages, and so do you. Your awareness is infinite space. Your thoughts are only passing weather. The path of right view is to remember, thoughts are visitors, not masters. Whisper gently to yourself, my thoughts are visitors, not masters. I observe without attachment. I release without fear. I am the awareness, not the storm. With each repetition, feel yourself detach from the illusion of permanence. You are not trapped. You are free to let thoughts rise and fall without letting them define you. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine sitting beside a river. The water flows gently, carrying leaves upon its surface. Each leaf is a thought, one about yesterday, another about tomorrow, another about yourself. Watch them float by. Notice their shapes, their colors, their movement. But do not pick them up. Do not chase them. Simply observe as they pass downstream. In this stillness, you discover a profound truth. The river never stops flowing, but it never binds you. Ask yourself with honesty, which thoughts have I falsely made into my identity? What truth exists beyond my thinking? How can I live as the witness, not the prisoner? These reflections open the doorway to freedom. For when you live as the observer, you see that every thought is temporary, every belief is fragile, and every storm is passing. This is the third step to killing negative thoughts, not by resisting them, but by recognizing their impermanence. When you stop treating thoughts as truths, they lose their power. They come and they go, just as the tide rises and falls. And in that awareness, you rediscover your nature, vast, steady, and free, like the open sky that no storm can break. 4. Mind like a still lake. What happens when you stop disturbing the waters of your own mind? We stir them endlessly, rushing from thought to thought, chasing worries, clinging to desires. And yet, every ripple we create only hides the truth beneath. The Buddha taught, the still mind reflects truth without distortion. Just as a lake, when calm, mirrors the sky perfectly, so too does the mind, when quiet, reveal reality as it truly is. Imagine a hand dipping into clear water, swirling it again and again. What was once transparent becomes muddy, impossible to see through. This is the restless mind, distorted by agitation, unable to reflect truth. But when you stop stirring, when you leave the water untouched, it clears by itself. No force is needed, only patience, stillness, and trust. A restless mind is quick to believe every passing thought, quick to create stories, quick to chase illusions. But a still mind sees through them. It does not fight, it does not grasp, it simply rests. And in that rest, clarity arises. To kill negative thoughts is not always to wrestle them into submission. Often it is to let them sink like silt until the water grows clear again. Whisper to your heart, silence within me is my deepest strength. I choose to rest in stillness. In calmness, I see clearly. These affirmations are not escapes, they are reminders. Stillness is not weakness, it is power. Silence is not emptiness, it is fullness, alive with clarity. Now, close your eyes. Picture yourself sitting by a quiet lake at dawn. The air is cool, the world is hushed. With every breath, the ripples upon the water begin to soften. Inhale, one wave slows. Exhale, the surface grows smoother. With patience, the lake becomes like glass, perfectly reflecting the sky. This is your mind when you allow it to rest. This is the clarity waiting beneath your turbulence. Ask yourself gently, how often do I stir my own waters? What would I see if I allowed my mind to settle? When was the last time I touched true silence? These are questions that do not demand quick answers, but instead invite you to return again and again to the stillness within. This is the fourth step to killing negative thoughts, by realizing they lose power when the mind no longer agitates them. A thought is only as loud as the noise you add to it. In stillness, even fear dissolves. In silence, even pain softens. And in the calmness of the inner lake, truth reveals itself without distortion. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, "I am beyond negativity." 5. The power of letting go. If your hands are full of burning coals, why do you still hold on? This is the question the Buddha asks each of us in silence. We cling to anger, to regret, to painful memories as though they were treasures. Yet the truth is simple. They burn us only because we refuse to release them. The Buddha said, "Suffering ends the moment we stop clinging." What feels like punishment from the world is often the weight we insist on carrying. Negativity is like a rope we hold tightly. We think it gives us security or identity or meaning, but the harder we grip it, the deeper its fibers cut into our skin. In truth, the rope does not bind us. We bind ourselves by refusing to let go. Letting go does not mean losing. It means choosing freedom over the prison of attachment. The mind tricks us into believing that holding on protects us. We tell ourselves that clinging to pain keeps us safe from repeating the past, that replaying regrets keeps us prepared, that grasping for control keeps us steady. Yet what actually happens? The pain deepens, the regrets multiply, and the control slips further from our hands. True strength is not in holding, but in releasing. Say these words with a gentle heart. I let go of what weighs me down. Freedom begins when I release control. I choose peace over clinging. Feel the way these words shift something inside you. They remind you that liberation is not outside. It is already within, waiting for the moment you choose to drop what harms you. Take a breath now. Imagine holding a heavy stone in your hands. At first it feels manageable, even necessary. But as time passes, your arms ache, your shoulders stiffen, and your body trembles under the weight. Now, with a deep exhale, drop the stone. Hear it fall to the ground. Feel the sudden lightness in your hands, the freedom in your body, the relief in your heart. This is the power of letting go. Ask yourself with honesty, what painful thought have I been unwilling to release? Do I confuse letting go with losing? What would my heart feel like if it finally let go? These questions are not to be rushed. They are doors you open slowly, with courage and tenderness. This is the fifth step to killing negative thoughts, by recognizing that clinging keeps them alive. Every time you replay the story, you hold the rope tighter. Every time you resist reality, you add another coal to your burning hands. But the moment you release, the suffering begins to fade. Letting go is not weakness, it is wisdom. It is the courage to trust that peace is lighter than pain, that freedom is stronger than fear, and that your true nature was never meant to be bound. When you let go, you do not lose. You finally return to yourself. 6. Compassion, turning poison into medicine. What if the sharpest weapon against negativity is not resistance but love? We are taught to fight, to suppress, to reject the parts of ourselves that feel dark or broken. Yet the Buddha revealed a deeper truth. Hatred never ends by hatred, but by love alone. Fighting thoughts with more resistance only feeds them. But when you bring compassion to even your darkest moments, the poison begins to turn into medicine. Think of venom taken from a snake. By itself it can kill, but when transformed, that same venom becomes medicine, saving lives. The mind works in the same way. A negative thought left in darkness is venom. It spreads pain, it weakens, it blinds. But when met with compassion, it transforms. That very thought becomes the soil where wisdom grows, the doorway to healing, the reminder that love is always stronger than fear. Negativity thrives when you meet it with judgment. When you say, I should not think this, I should not feel this, you feed the cycle. But when you meet the thought with kindness, when you say, I see you, I understand you, I release you with love, something softens. The thought loses its sharpness, the storm loses its grip. Compassion dissolves what resistance could never touch. Whisper gently to yourself, my compassion dissolves my self-criticism. Love is the shield that protects my mind. I choose kindness, even toward my own pain. Let these words seep into your being like warm light entering a cold room. Notice how the heart responds to softness in a way it never does to battle. Close your eyes. Place your hand upon your heart. Feel its steady rhythm. With each breath, imagine a warmth spreading from your chest, soft, golden, and endless. This warmth touches even the parts of you once rejected, the fear, the shame, the anger. Instead of banishing them, you embrace them. You whisper, "You too belong. You too are worthy of healing." Slowly, the tightness within begins to ease, and the poison begins to change into medicine. Now ask yourself, how can I show compassion toward the thoughts I dislike? What part of me is still waiting for forgiveness? How can love become my inner shield? These questions open the door to the deepest transformation. For the truth is this: compassion is not weakness. It is strength beyond measure. This is the sixth step to killing negative thoughts by no longer treating them as enemies. When you shine compassion upon them, they lose their power to wound you. Love transforms fear, kindness disarms anger, acceptance softens shame, and in that transformation, you find a freedom no battle could ever bring. The path ends where it began, in the mind. But now you see it differently. Your mind is not a battlefield, it is a garden. And with compassion as your hand, you turn weeds into blossoms, shadows into light, poison into medicine. This is the shield that no negativity can pierce. Bonus principle: silence is the medicine of the mind. What if the answer to your loudest thoughts was not more thought, but silence itself? We live in constant noise, both around us and within us. The world shouts, the mind repeats, and we keep searching for answers in the echo of more thinking. Yet the Buddha's wisdom whispers, only in silence can the heart hear what the mind forgets. Silence is not emptiness. It is the medicine that heals the overworked mind, the quiet space where truth can finally be heard. The mind is like a stormy forest, branches thrashing, winds howling, mist covering every path. In all this noise, how can anyone see clearly? But silence arrives like the morning light, slow and gentle, clearing the fog, calming the winds, and allowing the light to enter. This is why silence is not emptiness, it is presence. It shows what noise tries to cover. Many of our negative thoughts remain because we never allow them the space to fade away. We keep arguing with them, overthinking or distracting ourselves. But silence can do what effort cannot. It lets the storm pass on its own. Just as muddy water becomes clear when left alone, the mind returns to balance when we rest in stillness. Ending negative thoughts does not always require force. Sometimes it asks for surrender to silence. Gently say to your heart, "I welcome silence as my greatest teacher." In stillness, my mind becomes whole again. I am not afraid of quiet. I am renewed by it. Let these words soften you. Notice how silence carries a quiet love that no sound can give. It does not demand. It does not judge. It simply heals. Close your eyes. Picture yourself beneath a wide night sky, deep and endless. No words, no noise, only the gentle hum of existence. Stars above you, earth below you, and your breath moving softly within. In this silence, you are not separate from the universe. You are held by it. You begin to see that even without thoughts, you are complete. Even without answers, you are already whole. Ask yourself softly, when was the last time I allowed myself to sit in true silence? What truth appears when I stop looking for answers in noise? Could silence itself be the doorway to peace? These questions are not meant to be rushed, but lived. This is the bonus teaching, the hidden key. Silence is not a way to escape life. It is the ground where life shows its truth. In silence, fear loosens its hold. In silence, shame melts away. In silence, the heart returns to its natural rhythm. So let your practice be not only about changing thoughts, but also about resting in silence. When the noise fades, the mind no longer rules you. And when silence opens, you see clearly that peace was never distant. It was simply waiting beneath the noise, like dawn waiting under the night. Quick summary of the principles. See shadows for what they are. Negative thoughts are often illusions, not facts. They seem real only because we give them attention and energy. The moment you stop chasing them, their strength weakens. Simple awareness begins to dissolve them. The root of restless thinking. The Buddha taught that craving, aversion, and ignorance fuel ongoing negativity. When you recognize these roots, you stop feeding the cycle. Instead of fighting, you begin to observe, and the fire naturally burns out. Right view. Thoughts are not you. Your thoughts do not define who you are. They are only temporary visitors. The more you cling to them, the more trapped you feel. But when you see them as passing and impermanent experiences, they lose their power over you. Mind like a still lake. The mind becomes restless only when it is disturbed. When you stop engaging with negative thoughts, clarity returns on its own. Stillness helps you see life as it truly is, pure, peaceful, and undistorted. The power of letting go. Holding on to negative thoughts is like gripping a burning coal. It only causes pain. Letting go does not mean weakness. It means freedom. Releasing them creates space for peace to enter your life. Compassion. Turning poison into medicine. Negativity cannot be overcome with resistance or hatred. It transforms through compassion. When you replace harshness with kindness, you quiet your inner critic. Love becomes the shield that protects your mind. Silence is the medicine of the mind. The deepest healing comes not from more thinking, but from silence. In silence, the mind softens, the heart opens, and peace shows itself. Silence becomes both the teacher and the cure. Your negative thoughts are not prisons. They are passing clouds in the wide sky of your awareness. Buddhism teaches that freedom does not come from fighting, but from understanding. As one teaching reminds us, peace appears when you stop grasping at things. By letting go, you do not lose yourself. You finally come to know who you truly are. When you stop clinging, stop fearing, and stop believing every story your mind creates, freedom arises. The stillness you are looking for already lives within you. These 6 teachings, shaped by silence and compassion, lead you back to your inner center, where no thought can disturb you. So today, ask yourself, will you keep struggling with your mind, or will you step into the quiet strength of awareness? Remember, peace was never far away. It was waiting inside you the whole time. Like and share this video. Share your thoughts in the comments. Buddhist wisdom on living a peaceful life.